أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله أوله بلا أول كان قبل وآخره بلا آخر يكون بعده الذي قصرت عن رؤيته أبصار الناظرين وعجزت عن نعته أوهام الواصفين ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا حبيب إله رب العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين ولعنة الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، عظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Our condolences upon the martyrdom of Siddiqa Sughra, Zainab Kubra, Salamullah alayha, to the Imam of our time, and to all Mu'mineen and Mu'minat. 14th of Rajab marks the eve of the Shahadat of Hazrat Zainab Salamullah alayha. We will be continuing on the discussion of Munajat Shabaniya, which is an ongoing thing that we have in perspective in our program. We have reached to verse number 36, and we will try to look at 36 and 37. I'll just read briefly the translation, and then I also wanted to point out to some of the aspect or the understanding, the marifati, or the reality of Hazrat Zainab Salamullah alayha, inshallah. The next two verses that we want to discuss tonight is Ilahi qad afnaytu umri fi sharri sahwa ank. O Allah, I have spent my life in ghaflat of you. I have forgotten you, in negligence, in ghaflat. And then وَأَبْلَيْتَ شَبَابِي فِي سَكْرَةِ التُّبَاعُدْ مِنْكَ. And I have spent my whole youth with the with intoxication, being far away from you, in that state, in the state of masti. However, as we said, we will talk a little bit about Hazrat Zainab Salamullah alayha, to pay our due, to pay our respect. No matter how much we do, we will never be able to do so. In the society today, one of the important aspect of man's or human quality that is lacking is haya, modesty, shame. We see today a community, a society have become, unfortunately, very shameless. There is no sort of modesty in terms of in terms of their activity, in terms of their engagement in the dunya, in terms of their representation of who they are and what they are. There is a great lack of modesty, of haya. If you look at, for example, the times in the past, even in the secular and Western society I'm talking about, there was some sort of modesty in their umur, in their affair. For example, if we take the most outward example, the most zahiri example, that is of clothing. If you look at the clothing, whether that be clothing of men or women, we see the same reflection of modesty in about, I would say, 100 years ago even. Leave aside, we are talking about at the time of, for example, pre-Renaissance, right? We find that the amount of clothing that people are putting on their body have gone less, which points out to their lack of modesty, because long clothes, hiding the body, loose clothes, all of these things are reflection of haya, reflection of shame. That a person who is shameful, a person who likes to have that be modest, he will dress in a modest way. So, like if you look at about 100 years ago or even 50 years ago, for example, people who always wear a cap, a hat, long suits, long clothing, loose clothing. Even their suits that they used to wear were long, for example, compared to the suits that people wear today. There's a lack of haya. That's one side. Then if you look at, for example, the social media, how much a person have become, shameless in terms of portraying himself or herself in, in their chat, in their Instagram or, Twitter, or, what do you call this, different social medias that are there. Unfortunately, once again, we see that there is a lack of shame. There's a lack of modesty. There's a person portrays himself, shows himself, put things online on their Facebook that one will not even imagine. For example, you would see silly things such as, I am ironing my clothes, I am doing this or doing that, which doesn't need to be there online as such. But we see once again, unfortunately, very, very silly things going on the social media, the type of pictures that are played or the messages that goes out, which have nothing to do with me. There's no concern of me, or the type of jokes, for example, that are shared. It clearly indicates the lack of some sort of shame, the lack of modesty. Now, when we come to the religious, modesty, or religious people as well, over there as well, there are certain things which are required by the community members, by the scholars, by the people to really cover up, because God is the one who is considered as Sattar, who covers, and particularly Sattarul Uyub, for example. So it is quite important that if I know something of a brother or of a sister, or if community knows something, the point is not to speak about that thing. This points out to the modesty of a person, that he is not discussing these affairs, these umur, which is not concerned with him, but rather a person goes and brags about it. The whole community know about an issue, about a situation that have taken place, for example, in a particular family, or what is going on in the center, the ikhtilafat, the difference of opinion that is existing. But there is no need to discuss in every sitting about this person or about that person, about this ikhtilaf or that ikhtilaf. So once again, this points out to the lack of modesty. Now, there's a very beautiful hadith which says that when Hazrat Adam was provided or was offered aql, deen and haya, these three things were offered to Hazrat Adam to pick. Among these three things, he picked up, tell me what? He was offered deen, religion, he was offered haya, modesty, and he was offered aql. What do you think from these three things he picked up? He picked up aql, because when he picked up aql, deen come with it, and when deen comes with it, haya also joined. So therefore there is a very important relationship with aql and modesty. A person who is modest is reflecting that this person is intelligent. Like I said, on a Facebook, if I come and I put, I'm ironing my clothes, I'm going to use the restroom, I'm changing the diaper of my son or my daughter, this is a pointing out this person doesn't have any, haya, is fuzul, is useless. There's some sort of, respect for oneself, right? There's some sort of haya for oneself. Now, if a person is discussing this one would say that, this person is, he doesn't have aql. He's putting that online. He's putting these things in Instagram, right? For example, if one is reflecting oneself in a very different way, when we are dealing with each other, when we are speaking to each other, when we see each other, when we interact with each other, we are different. But when we go on the Instagram, or when we go on the Facebook, or when we go on the Snapchat, it's a completely different person. You will be amazed and shocked. Oh, is this the same person who I met? What type of, for example, things that this person is indulging? There's a lack of coordination in terms of, there's a like two personalities, so to speak, right? Points out to the hypocrisy of a person, how this person is hypocritical. Obviously, a person who does not have haya, he will be like this. He will be portraying himself in a different way, but in real he is something else. So this not having haya is reflecting what? It's reflecting that this person, or this individual, or this community, or this civilization, let me put it that way, is a civilization without haya, without modesty. And if the civilization, if the community, if the society is without haya, without modesty, then this means that this civilization is bi-aql, is a civilization of without any aql. Right? On one side, it seems to be very intelligent, advancing, space tours, developing, progressing in technology, in science, in research, but at the same time, it is reflecting that it is a civilization or a society without any shame, as we see. So there is some sort of ikhtilaf in these two things. Either this advancement of the technology, of the sciences, is not purely intellectual, right? Or it is purely intellectual. If it is purely intellectual, why our society, our community have become so bihaya, without modesty? Right? Now, let's analyze a bit here. With our advancement, with our space tours, with our satellites, with our progress and research, we have created a hole in the ozone layer. We have created atomic bombs and nuclear bombs, and we have threatened the human life on earth. We have destroyed the nature. We have destroyed the atmosphere. We have destroyed the space by sending satellites, and the amount of garbage that is hanging in there in space. If something happens in terms of the gravity, if all this junk that is out there circumventing and around the earth, if it just falls down, it will be a war, so to speak, all over the world, things falling, like satellites that we left there, rockets that we left there, things that were just hanging up there in space. We have polluted the earth, the atmosphere, right? The human sort of body in a way, with all these sort of different, types of food, processed food, which is affecting our body. And in order to balance that, we take pills and medication to lose weights, so on and so forth. I mean, it's so complicated. So this complication, which we call it, or this confusion, which we call it civilization, which we call it progress, which we call it we have advanced, right? A true intellectual will never indulge or create something that will destroy human life, because life is precious. A true person, a true intellectual person, someone who is aqil, will not indulge in something that will destroy his atmosphere, that water that he is drinking, the food that he is drinking, right? So this points out to that there is something wrong. So when we see that the society, the community, the individual or the culture have become a culture of no modesty, this means that it is coming out from that main reason that the civilization, community, individual or that person have no aql, have no brains. That's why it has become this way. We are shooting on on our own foot. We are axing our own feet. You see? So therefore it's quite important to reflect on this. Now, as it says that a person who do not have haya, he does not have deen. A person who do not have aql, he will not have haya. So all of these things are very much interrelated. They are all connected to each other. Intellect, aql with haya. Now, why did I mention this? Is to really point out to the great quality of Hazrat Zainab Salamullah alayha. The title of her, if you tell me what is that title which is related to her aql, related to her intellect. She is known as Aqile Bani Hashim. Aqile Bani Hashim. Now this Aqile, which is with a ta in the end, it is not reflection that it is the aql of a female individual, right? This Aqile. But rather this is a reflection of a quality which is overwhelming. This taitanis, as it's not taitanis, it's not for feminine gender to reflect that. Like Khalifatullah. Say Khalifatullah is a te there, right? That ta in the end is not a reflection of that. Hazrat Adam is Khalifatullah. Then we should be saying Khalifullah. We cannot say Khalifullah, we say Khalifatullah. So Aqilat Bani Aqile means that Aqilatu Bani Hashim, when we say Aqilatul Bani Hashim, means that she, that overwhelming quality of khilafat, that overwhelming quality of aql is in her. Now here, there is a person who does not have aql or is not intelligent enough, let's put it that way. Then he increases, he learns, he becomes intellectual, then he has become aqil. But there is another person who is known as aqil. There's aqil and aqile. Aqil is the person who gains, but Hazrat Zainab is not aqil. She is aqile Bani Hashim. Then there is aqil. Aqil means where it is the source of akhlaq, a source of aql, right? Khaliq, for example, that's the source. A person who reaches to that source, and he has become the sort of his second personality, or aql is part and parcel of him. He is the source of that aql. He's aqil. He's aqil. But the third thing, which is the highest one, is aqile, which means that someone who protects the aql, is beyond that. Is protection of that, is guarding that. That. So everything. It's like, for example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls the Prophet as khulq azim, as like you are the khulq azim. Not that you have great akhlaq, no, you are the khulq itself. You yourself is sublime morality. You define what morality is. You protect morality. You protect akhlaq, you define akhlaq, you establish what akhlaq really is, right? So the same way in regards to Hazrat Zainab, she is the protector, she is the guardian, right, of that which have to be something higher than aql, obviously. This points out to that she is someone who is higher than that, right. Now, Imam Hussein is also aqile, and Hazrat Zainab also, she has reached that maqam, that status. That's why Imam Sajjad alayhi salam says that anti alimatu bila muallima, that you are a scholar without being taught by anyone. This points out to that she is beyond the levels of this human realms as such, this madis, material sort of reality that is there. She has this unique spiritual reality which is designated to her with this title as well, which points out to this title as well as Aqil Banyar. Now, this is in regards to her intellectual capacity. When we look at her mystical, irfani, from that marifati angle, we find that she is someone who have seen the truth the way it is supposed to be, and she utters ma ra'aytu illa jamila, that I have seen nothing but beauty. So that vision, that understanding in regards to the existence, in regards to the things that take place, she regards it or she sees it. She's saying ra'aytu, yani see. Seeing is something much higher. I know that it was nothing but beautiful. No. I saw, I have seen, which is ayn, right, which is seeing, So this points out to that reality of her, that on what level and on what maqam she was, that even all of these sacrifices for the sake of deen they were, but very painful was no pain for her in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's a day of sorrow, eve of sorrow, in this very sad evening on which we have the shahadat of her. Now, time will not really permit us, because we have to also look at the aspect of this dua, the commentary that we are doing. Very briefly tonight we will go, because we have already taken much of your time. Ilahi qad afnaytu umri fi sharahi as-sahwa ank. Oh Allah, I have spent my life in ghaflat of you, in negligence of your. Now this here in this dua, Amirul Mu'mineen is pointing out to that, oh Allah, my life been spent in negligence. I haven't really understood the way I should have understood. Even the Prophet have uttered that. Ma arafnaka haqqa ma'rifatik. I haven't understood you, O Lord. I don't have the enough knowledge, O Lord, the way I really know you. So this is an expression of nidamat, nadm, as they say. This is an expression of sadness, an expression of a person is where, he's expressing, that he's sad, he hasn't fulfilled the task. That's what he's expressing. Yes, that's the way to approach God, But at the same time, he is pointing out to that he has husn zan in the Lord. He's saying that, but at the same time, that he's saying that I have hope in you, Allah, ilahi. Yes, oh Allah, please. I have spent my life in ghaflat. I have forgotten you. I miss prayers, I miss fast, I didn't remember you, I committed sins, I forgot, I indulged myself in things that were pleasurable to me from the worldly point of view. I indulge in gossip, I indulge in backbiting, I hurt the heart of this person or that person. I didn't realize, I realized it later. For example, now that I'm, reached my 50s, 40s, now I'm realizing, when I was young, I wish I should have studied this, I wish I should have prayed this way, I wish I should have fasted this way, I could have done that. So this is pointing out to that, ilahi, ilahi qad afnaytu umri fi sharri sahwa ank. Oh Lord, my life is, life in ghaflat of you. That's what have happened, in negligence of you, right? As it says that Hazrat have mentioned in a hadith Amirul Mu'mineen something that is considered to be kibritul ahmar. Kibritul ahmar is a term which is a red sulfur. Red sulfur. Kibritul ahmar means red sulfur. It's like kimia, that changes earth to gold. That red sulfur, right? So he said kibritul ahmar. Red sulfur is what? Amirul Mu'mineen said the red sulfur is the life, is our zindagi, is our life. What he has been given by God is really very important. In another hadith, do not sell yourself to less than Bihisht, less than Jannah. If somebody in return of his life getting Jahannam, getting in between, no, it's not worth. His life is not worth. Or in another hadith, it says that, for example, no one recognizes the value of life except the prophets or those who are the truthful one. Siddiq, those who are the truthful, they will recognize the value of life, and the prophets will recognize the value of life. Now, this recognition of even that I have wasted my time is a positive recognition. That's why he said, Ad-nadmul qalb yukaffiru dhanb. A sort of nadm, an embarrassment and feeling sorry itself is considered to be the kafara of the sin. If a person commits a sin and he's sorry about it, he's ashamed about it, he seeks forgiveness, this feeling ashamed about the act that one have committed itself is considered as kafara for the sin, according to this hadith from Amirul Mu'mineen. An-nadmul qalb, the nidamat of the qalb is yukaffir, is like a kafara, adham for the sin, right? Now, sukrul ghafla, as Amirul Mu'mineen says, that the intoxication of negligence is worse than the intoxication of alcohol. Of somebody, for example, who drinks, the intoxication of that is less, because perhaps in the morning or maybe with some medication he may come out of his masti, his sort of intoxication. But when a person is ghafil, when a person is forgetful, when a person is neglecting the reality, then he will stay like this. It's very dangerous, and it's a long term. A person is really ghafil, is really forgetful of taking care of loving his own children, loving his own parents, doing something for the neighbor. Some family member living with him, all of a sudden the family member is no longer there. He dies or he moves somewhere. He says, he was with us. We wish that this is a ghaflat. Person, he's no longer there. That opportunity is gone. Oh, how did I miss that opportunity? I was there. People live in Najaf, in Qom, in Mashhad, the haram is there. Many people don't go every day, or sometimes even when we go for ziyarat, perhaps we are not there. We are gone for shopping, we do this. It's so neglect to do that. Some of the amal we are supposed to. It's ghaflat. This is forgetfulness. Now, how one can get rid of ghafla? Very briefly, ghaflat, negligence, very briefly, and that is shi'matul uqala qillatul shahwati wa qillatul ghafla. Who have less ghaflat, less negligence, who are less forgetful, they are the one considered to be aqil, intellectual. Those who are the intellectuals, the ravish, the methodology, the way intellectuals are, those who are less in shahwat, who are less in ghaflat. Their shahwat is less, their lusty desires of mal, of wealth, of dunya, of world, or sexual desires. All of these desires, their shahwati desires, their low desires, shahwat of food, shahwat of mal, shahwat of maqam, right? All of these shahwat that insan have, for those who are aqil, intellectual, their way or their methodology, the way they are is they don't have ghaflat, they are not forgetful, they are awake. They don't neglect things because they are aqil. As we were talking about aqile bani Hashim, someone who is intellectual is modest. He is not ghafil of his modesty. He is protecting himself from sins, from showing himself as a shameless creature, right? أحق الناس بالزهد من عرف نقص الدنيا. The individuals who are considered to be the ascetics are those man arafa naqsud dunya, who have the ma'rifat of the limitation of this dunya. This dunya is aqal, this dunya is very little. They have the ma'rifat of that. Ayyuhan nas, O people, how do you really get rid of ghaflat? We are looking at recognizing that dunya is of no value. Yes, making use of the dunya, right? We are not saying that. But if dunya goes over our heart and our mind, then brings about ghaflat. If I just want to make money, I will not look at whether this money is halal or haram, whether by spending time for gaining this money I am, detrimenting my responsibility towards my family, towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, towards mu'mineen and mu'minat, right? Then obviously I have to calculate. So a person becomes ghafil of these things, meaning a person becomes forgetful of these realities. أيها الناس استصبحوا من شعلة مصباح واعظ متعظ. The second way is to taking advice, wise. O people, take light from, the person who is advising you, the person who is wise, the person who is guiding you. Quran is the guide. Quran is the nur. Quran is guiding us. The second way to come out of ghaflat is taking advice. Teachings of Ahl Bayt is our guide, right? These are the things that could be helping us from getting rid of ghaflat. Making relationship with du'as. For example, this discussion of Munajat Shabaniya, it's really bringing out, it's pointing out to the ma'rifat of our nafs, that how nafs could become, how I could be, and at the same time of God, right? The next verse, وَأَبْلَيْتُ شَبَابِي فِي سَكْرَتِ. My shabab, my youth have gone in intoxication. I have destroyed it from being far away from you. Once again, aspect of nadm, aspect of being sorry and embarrassed for what has gone in the past, that one have basically wasted in a way his life, right? Amirul Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salam says that there are two things which one will not recognize unless that person loses it. Number one is health. A person will not recognize health unless that health is no longer there. Then he will come to the realization of it. to the utmost perfection. The other thing is a person will not recognize his youth. All of a sudden his hair go white. All of a sudden he is 50. All of a sudden he is 40. All of a sudden he is 30. He was 23, he was 19, he was 16. This youth is gone like that. This young age is gone like that. So therefore, a person will not recognize unless he loses it are two things: his health and his youth. So it's very important that as long as I am healthy, as long as I am young, make sure that I fully benefit from this health. I fully benefit from this youth. A person was healthy, he could have fast, but he did not fast. Now he is old, or he does not have, may Allah protect all mu'minin and mu'minat and give them health, right, and keep them healthy. Then if something happens, health goes wrong, he cannot fast. He says, I wish I could have, right? A person, sometimes you get this little thing. I remember, I got this vertigo. Your head spins, right? And I was going in sajda. As soon as I go in sajda, I go, Maulana Sahab, please lead prayer. Maulana Sahab can't lead prayer anymore. Because Maulana Sahab, when you go in sajda, he will fall down. Right? A little thing. It is as if that I am leading or I am praying all the time. But few days, I can't do sajda, man. I just do like this, I go. I have to sit and pray. The lazat, the taste, when I looked at other people in sajda, I say, how lucky they are that they are doing proper sujood, that doing proper sajda. I am missing that. I can't do it because I have this vertigo. I go, head is spinning. I can't go in sajda. I have to do sajda like this. What is that sajda? What is it? A person will not recognize the health. So we have to be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all the time. Every little thing that God has given. Thank you, Allah, for what you have given us. Right? A person will not recognize his health unless he, loses that. Youth, young age, the same way. Maulana Sahab have gone old now. He is becoming maybe 50 or 60 or whatever, right? And then, I remember when I was young, when I was in Qom, Jamaat prayers, Fajr I could have gone, I couldn't go to the Haram. Or, for example, this lessons I could have attended. This is how is not anymore. That opportunity is gone. That youth is gone. Inshallah, may Allah make it up for all of us who basically lost that. And that's what this dua is telling us. This dua is telling us, oh Allah, please, Ilahi, we have lost it now. Now you got to help us now. You have to help us, oh Allah. This jawani, this youth, a person goes just like that. There's so much passion, there's so much attraction, in this world, that the youth will be pulled and sucked with it, right? This passion of dunya, of accumulating, as it says in Surah Hadid, that, man and his stages, tafaquru, amwal wa awlad, he wants to really say, boost, that I have so much, make so much property, this car, this house, this many children, my children are, it just connects to each other. My children are studying this, my son and my daughter, is in that unit. It's very good, very good. It should be that way. But the point is not to boost about it, not to become ghaflat or ghafil. My children, what? Did I teach them how to speak? When you look at them, did I stretch them to grow? It is God who have done that. We should be thankful to Allah. Me is nothing. if one really reflects and look oneself, do I have that capability, that possibility to really make my child speak or say, move his tongue? No, right? So we should be always awake, not in the state of intoxication and masti, and we should ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Allah, really provide us with this sort of opportunity to be always awake. Inshallah, we will stop here. Once again, I give my pursa, my condolences to all of you, tasliyat to all of you upon the martyrdom of Hazrat Zainab Salamullah alayha, and inshallah we'll continue in our next program. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen wa tub alayna innaka anta at-tawwabur rahim. غفر الله لنا ولكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.